Dust and Elysian Tail is an indie game developed by the people over there at Humble Hearts. Or should I say the only person over there at Humble Hearts, which is the founder, Dodrill, who sometimes goes by the name of Noogy online. Yep, you heard right, this game developer single-handedly crafted this game, which was presented and gained notoriety from winning the Dream Build Play competition in 2009. This led to it being granted a spot of being available for purchase through Xbox Online Store via the Xbox Live Arcade service. While doing this review, I actually found out that this game is actually one part of an overarching universe which takes place within the world known as Falana. There was supposed to be a movie that was in development entitled Elysian Tail that seems to flesh out the universe even more. I saw what many consider to be a preview of the animated film online. Since its announcement, it's been in the shadows if it was still being in development. However, I kinda personally hope it still is. I really hope that one day this film comes into fruition because it looks stylish and not to mention awesome. But back to Dust. According to Dean, some of his influences in creating Dust and its mechanics were inspired by the titles like Devil May Cry, dyxntgaming, and Metroidvania titles in which you can see bits and pieces of. I rocked out with the PlayStation version, which will be the version I will be reviewing. So with that said, let's get into this review. Dust has a somewhat unique hand-drawn art style detailed with bright colors. Each character you come across in contact are anthropomorphic creatures whose design is based off of some type of animal. The other type of creatures are just simply monsters, obviously. The presentation and the animation of the characters in Dust all have their own personalities, which is partially dictated by their facial expressions and demeanor. Traveling across the land of Dust is smooth, and at some moments show majestic scenery. The backgrounds I notice change often, so in one moment it could be sunny and then all of a sudden a storm could occur. The different background sceneries holds up pretty well and differentiated the many areas that you're going to be moving to and fro from. The few cutscenes in this game successfully conveys the story in some impressive ways.
What was once a land of promise has fallen to the ravages of war. And it was in this, our most desperate hour, that the greatest of Elysian tales began.
Dust is about a warrior who shares the same name as the game and his journey to rediscover who he is. To aid him in his journey is a talking sword he acquires called the Sword of Adjet that knows more than what it chooses to share. Also along for the ride is the sword's guardian by the name of Fidget.
Me? I'm Fidget, guardian of his sword.
Over time throughout their travels, they meet other various characters whom the main characters help, while some gives hints and clues about revealing more of Dust's past, and how he's connected to the various events that affected the land in which these characters dwell. To avoid spoilers, let's just say that some of the plot lines and story tropes kinda make certain revelations seem a bit typical or predictable. However, it still does not discredit it from being interesting, due to the fact that within the game's twist, and especially the ending, there is an element that you may not have seen coming. And as the old saying goes, from ashes to ashes, dust to dust. The gameplay of Dust is a Metroidvania hack-and-slash platformer that blends elements from each together. The character you play as has a sword he utilizes to slash his enemies. You can pull off combos with variations of button inputs for offense, and to avoid damage he has the ability to backstep where in an instant he can move either forward or backwards quickly to avoid an attack. Later on you learn how to parry, which will be useful and crucial in defeating specific enemies you run into. If you time the attack of the enemy with your own attack, you can stun the enemy, leaving him vulnerable for you to dish out punishment. But the timing is crucial. The ability that will be used the most, or should I say is this game's somewhat selling point, is the Dust Storm. An ability in which Dust spins his sword rapidly, whether on ground or airborne, creating a vacuum where enemies will be damaged with a barrage of attacks. If items are around you, you can utilize this game mechanic to draw items towards you as well. But be warned, doing this attack can harm you if you do this for a long amount of time. Dust will hit himself, causing self-harm and interrupting any chain you got going on. A way to see when it's time to stop is depicted by the color of Dust. If he is turning red, you need to stop. Your partner Fidget helps out as well with the ability to fire out elemental projectiles at your enemies. By itself it has little to no effect, but if you combine it with Dust's ability Dust Storm, it amplifies the attack dramatically and multiplies the damage done to your enemies. Anyway, on your travels you come across items to help you, like edibles to replenish different amount of health and such. You also come across a plethora of materials you will need in order to craft more advanced items for you to equip in order to boost your stats such as your attack, defense, and other attributes. You will get these items for what your enemies will drop. If your approach with light mind and destroying every enemy you come across, before you know it you will inevitably acquire materials, not to mention level up dust at the same time. Speaking of leveling up, dust will require more experience points after defeating enemies that will add up, depicted by the blue gauge located up under your health bar. When you have reached the required number of points, you will level up where you will receive an upgrade point. From here, you decide in which attribute of dust that you will want to first upgrade. Oh yeah, I almost forgot, chaining attacks also increase the speed of leveling up, so go crazy. Now, personally, after the first 4 hours of the game, things became somewhat repetitive due to lack of variety. I got to the point where I easily became convinced that I've experienced everything that this game has to offer. I can see how some players could feel somewhat discouraged because it can decrease the level of motivation the player has to continue in this game. One of the reasons why I was able to continue this game in the first place is because I simply wanted to see how the story would end, and that was about it. Not because I wanted to explore more, and not because I think I would gain some new technique or weapon as a constellation prize for completing this game. Because in Dust, sadly, there isn't. The gameplay from a mechanical perspective does what the creators meant for it to do. The controls are tight and very responsive, but the enjoyment factor takes a slight dip. That is until the back end of the game when things pick up quite a bit. The fights are more epic and the cinematics and cutscenes just out of nowhere skyrockets.
The lone warrior stood against an army, slashing his way through all who opposed him. The mob stood no chance, and the soldier showed no mercy.
The voice acting in this game is one of its strong points because, if anything, the people you come across can talk up a storm. I can see the benefits of this in the perspective of storytelling. It not only gives personality to the characters, but the various accents that some of these characters have solidify their individuality, and you can easily tell where they're from.
Let's get going. Fidget?
If you said no, I need to bite your face off. Go nom nom noms all over your face.
Vent to seek my fortune in the wilds of great.
That's it, I quit. I can't work under these conditions. That is just offensive.
I'm so sorry, Mike.
No, I'm kidding.
Talking in an old voice. It's not a saxophone, it's a sousaphone. Well, good evening, young'un.
Ah, Archon Savior! Welcome to my humble shop.
No!
Okay. What am I even doing here? What am I doing?
The sound design is really impressive as well. The sound of thunder, the swelling of the fire pillars, and the spinning of your blade all contain a level of sound quality that nowhere diminishes. The music was done by Alexander Brandon, but along with him Chris Geehan and Dan McCollum, which both together makes up Hyperduck Soundworks, where they provide many original music compositions for titles consisting of games and short films. The music of Dust is really good. Many of the songs provide a somber-like tone which is presented through the usage of soft strings, piano ballads layered with some synths. If I am correct, and I could be wrong, the arrangement sounds like they were inspired by Asian culture. But then again, if you're looking at this game, who am I kidding? The whole entire game looks like it was inspired by Asian culture. But it's good to know that I can hear it through their music as well. Also on the OST, there are some songs that sound like it has a little bit of rock elements, with the guitar riffs making itself known throughout the songs. Then there are some other songs that has a fast-paced tempo that gives the listener a sense of adrenaline. All in all, you should give it a listen to. The soundtrack is located on Hyperduck's Bandcamp if you want to hear some tunes. Dust is available for Xbox 360, PlayStation 4, Nintendo Switch, iOS, and is also on Steam. You can pick this game up for $15. Dust has its shortcomings, but is still somewhat enjoyable. Seeing that this title was mostly handled by one person is impressive, and is something that is not easy to do. However, just in my opinion, it it just became a little bit repetitive and a chore at moments. But who knows, your experience may be different from mine, and you may have a different opinion about this. There is only one way to find out. Pick it up. Peace.